Let's Make It is brought to you by Ting, the new way everyone is getting their cell service. No overage penalties, great rates, keep what you do not use, no contracts, and someone will actually pick up the phone when you need support. Use our link and get $25 off your first month's service or your new phone. Just go to tech-zen.tv/ting to save $25. Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Make It. And tonight I have Bob back with me. How you doing, Bob?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Vacation was good. You haven't talked to me since vacation, so
Nope.
The kids have gone home, and we're back to normal.
And everybody survives.
And
congratulations.
Everybody survived. That's right. So yeah, I was getting a little worried about the survival thing there for a little while because I'm not used to getting kids woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's a new experience for me. So. All right, so this week we have a couple of things. I want to start out. I mentioned in the past about working on this hardware controller, and I did some service mining this week. Actually, I did it last week some too, and I've had some good and bad experiences with that. And I'm actually going to cover that next week because I did videotape. I videotaped the good experiences. I forgot to videotape the bad experiences. I didn't have a camera ready, but I'm going to describe some of the things that I ran into. But I want to show you kind of what we have, and as this continues, we're going to go back and look at it in future episodes as well. What we have here is these boards here are all custom made, and they're surface mount parts. You can see the parts that are on them. I probably could need to zoom in a little bit to show you more. But on the back of these, you see the parts, and then the buttons are on the front side. And you can kind of tell on the camera, basically also right now, it's cycling through them. Changing the buttons from red to green. It's just my test program to make sure what I had done actually works. And it's all I2C, so this is all being done with 4 wires to every board. It's 5 volts in ground, and then you have SCL and SDA, and these are all going to this breadboard. And all the breadboard's doing is tying them together. So you see this one long strip, that is all 5 volts, and then over here is all ground, and over here is all SCL, and then SDA over here. If you look at the actual Arduino, you see there's only 2 wires right here. This is a Mega, by the way. Here's 5 volts in ground, and then here's your SDA, SCL. So all this stuff's working off of 2 wires. And this, the chips that I'm using, the one can do up to 8 devices on our I2C run. The other one can do more. The other one can do, I don't know what it is. What would that be? Do math in my head. Be like 64 devices on it. So there's 2 chips on the back of these. One is the same chip we used last week in the show, and the other one is an LED driver. So we're using the same 28037 that we used last week for input for the buttons, and then we're using the LED driver, which is an NXP chip. I don't remember the exact 9375 or something like that. I can't remember the exact part number. But that's what's controlling the colors, and it can do up to 16 LEDs. So there's 2 LEDs per light or per button, so you get the different colors. So as I keep working on this, we'll come back to that and show that a little bit more. So the other thing tonight we're going to talk about is a time-lapse camera controller. We're going to do that in the second half. In the beginning half here, we've actually gotten some emails from people, and I want to show some stuff that we've gotten because it's actually very, very interesting. And we actually have another question we're going to answer as well. So Jason Hayes has been working on this garage door opener, and I'm going to bring it up here and we'll show it to you. It's an RFID reader. It's kind of based off our RFID show that we had. And he wants to be able to open his garage door using RFID. And I don't know if there's a keypad on it or not. He doesn't show that if there is. But basically what you're seeing here is the inside. You see the garage door a little bit there to the right. He has these nice boxes. He put all of his stuff in. And here you see it open. There's the LCD display. It's the same 4-line display that we've used in the show. And then down here you see that he has his the Arduino and a relay shield on top of it. And going down here, you'll see it actually in operation as well. So there it is. Swipe the key, or he has a master key. He can program additional keys with. And I don't know where his RFID reader actually is. I haven't seen it in here anywhere. I don't know if it's outside. I'm assuming it's outside. He wants to get into the garage. And then he has his all of his text. So that's what he created from off the RFID show that we had. I don't remember what episode that even was. I should have looked probably before we got started here. So that's kind of neat. It's nice to see some things that people have created with it. And that was something we got this week. Now, I got one other one, and I kind of want to answer this question because I've experienced this before. Let me go back over to my email. If I can find my email. There it is. Too many things open. So I have gotten an email from David Spalding, and he wants to create a garage door closer. So like if the garage door is open too long, it'll close. He said he just ordered a few Arduino compatible boards, and he got, I guess it was some of the Indiegogo boards, maybe the one that I got here too. That may be what it is. And he's trying to learn everything before they arrive. But he would like to build a garage door monitor and closer. So he wants to mount the project on the garage ceiling above the garage door, so he can tell when it's raised by using a proximity sensor. One of the early episodes I did actually showed a proximity sensor, and he wants to use something like that to tell if the door is open or closed. So I've done something like this before, but not using an Arduino. So I'm kind of big in the home automation stuff, and I had this in the old house. This house we moved into like a year and a half ago where we are now, it doesn't have this. But I had a magnetic garage door sensor on the bottom and a contact closure that went into, I don't remember if it was X10 or not. It might have been X10. I typically don't use X10 because it's a one-way protocol, but it might have been X10. Anyways, when the garage door was open, it would send a signal to the home automation system, which would turn on a light in the house, letting us know that the garage door was open to remind us it was open. So we have this, when we built this house a year and a half ago, we had this sensor that's actually on the garage door. And when it goes up, it's supposed to tell us that the garage door is up, but it's never worked right. And it's just frustrating. It sits there and blinks all the time saying something's wrong. So I'm been thinking about creating something like this as well. So I'm interested to see what Dave does with this, because that could be something interesting for me. I've never done like with an Arduino before. But I've considered an Arduino and like a Zigbee to let me know in the house that the garage door is still open, and even like a remote button to close it. So, Dave, if you get this working, I'd be really curious to see what you do with it. Sounds like a really neat thing. Let me see what. Oh, he has a link here to the Indiegogo. Let me see what it is real quick. It's a $9 Arduino compatible starter kit. Looks like an Arduino, although it's white. Here, Rob, I'll put this in the chat room. You can go look at it too. So we lost Bob. I'm trying to get him back now. I didn't know you were gone. How long were you gone?
My feed crashed.
Oh.
The joys of a live show.
Yep. That's right.
So
all right, well, I'm getting ready to send you a link in the chat room. This is the Arduino he's looking at using. It's $9.
Okay.
It looks a lot like a regular Arduino, like an open source Arduino, but it's made by Borderless Electronics. All right. So, anyways, definitely let us know how that goes, Dave. And if you have questions, let us know too. We definitely can help you out with something like that. I'd be really interested to see how it turns out for you. it says in here you're really new to electronics. So one of the things you mentioned about was using a relay or using a transistor. I would think for what you're trying to do with the garage door opener, you probably want a relay. But you're going to need a transistor also, because more than likely the relay would draw too much power for the pin on the Arduino. So if you look back at the episode that we did on, let's see, what was it? Oh, it was the
Well, we did the show on relays. That was what, 23?
I was thinking 26 maybe. I'm going to look right now, because that would give you a good description of how to use a transistor to control a relay. Oh, you're right. It was 23 with the 8 relays, but we also showed it again in the thermostat one.
Yes, and if he's powering the garage door opener, it's going to be a bigger relay than what we were using. And yes, you would need for sure you would need a transistor with a bigger relay.
Right. So let me see if I can get the exact show.
That first show that we did when we used the relays, that was right on the edge of what an Arduino, with a single relay, that was right on the edge of what an Arduino could do. And then we did the 8 relay, and we powered that with the I just lost the part number.
Yeah, so
we did the 5-volt circuit.
Right, so it's episode 25. We did LCD thermostat, and it showed how to use a transistor to control a relay. So to answer your question, you're going to need both, I would think. I don't know what the contact closure voltage is on a garage door opener, but I would guess it'd be more than a transistor. A transistor wouldn't work. There is the possibility. I'm going to show a different kind of relay tonight that might work as well. All right. And I don't know how old his son is. He said his son and him are going to learn the Arduinos. There's actually a good book for kids. Have you ever, let's see what's it called? The Arduino Adventures. Have you ever heard of that, Bob?
No, I have not. I just found it on this page, but no, I've not heard of this.
It's actually a story, and the kids have to make things to get these this boy and girl who are in this museum where that fell. They went away from their schoolmates as they're walking through, and they got into trouble and trying to get out of this. So you have to make like little things to get out. It's Escape from Gemini Station. Actually, I bought the book because my 9-year-old nephew is interested in learning this kind of stuff. So I figured it'd be a good thing for him. And you can buy a kit. In the end, you actually make a robot, like a 2-wheeled robot. The very last thing you do. It's kind of a neat book. But anyways, depending on how old his kids are, I could definitely recommend that. It's really easy to read. Here, I got it. I have it right here. Found it. It's it's $31 if you buy it from Amazon. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that's probably what I paid. I just don't remember how much it was. I just bought it because I saw what it was. Okay. So let's see. Do I have any other viewer emails that I want to go through? Jason and Dave. Okay, so Bob did mention earlier that, I don't know if we were on the air or it was pre-show or not, that we've actually gotten an email from a guy named John Hall who works for NXP Semiconductors, who they make I2C type products, and I'll look through the site today. There's a couple things that are interesting. I'm going to try to see if I can maybe get the timer and a few other things. He mentioned in his original email that they have some LED drivers and LCD drivers. I'm kind of curious about the LCD drivers. We've been using these piggyback boards that I've had 2 of them die on me already, so I don't know if it's the boards or that's something I'm doing to them. So I may see what he has as an option there as well. So I owe John an email back as well. And maybe at some point we can get him on the show. He's actually in California, so his time right now would be 5:18, right? No, 6:18. So maybe some Monday evening, maybe we can get him on the show and talk with us. See if he'd be willing to do that. All right. And we lost Bob again. Getting Bob back. Yeah, it's that kind of show. We have Vintage Volts in the chat room.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable. Please.
All right. Well, we'll wait for him to call me back. All right. So I think we kind of did what I wanted to do in the beginning of the show, and thank everybody. And let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to make some space over here. I'm going to unplug the other project that's running, or just move it out of the way. And there he is. There you are.
Here I am.
Oh, the Skype gremlins.
Well, I think it'd be nice to blame Skype, but I think this was I think I'm losing a router, so I switched to my backup.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just starting to get to they're going to bring the camera controller over and kind of go through it.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to come back on. So let's go over here and take a look at it. It's actually a very simple thing. This is one of the shields that we created. And what you see it doing right now, it's running, I don't know what the time really is. Let me see if I can go look at the time and see how many seconds it's running. Right now it's running 6-second intervals. So you see right here is, well, first of all, 4 buttons, and the buttons are turn this off or on. So right now the timer is not running. Then we have the increase time, the decrease time, and take a picture now. So you do this, take a picture right now. We have a relay, and this relay is a solid state relay, so there's no moving parts in it. And we have a photo sensor, and we have the plug that connects to the camera. So the other thing we have over here is an I2C plug, and the reason I mentioned earlier about I'm having these problems with my LCDs is I had an LCD that just stopped working, and I couldn't get to work, and I tried other things that used to work, and it didn't work either, so I think I had a bad LCD. So we're actually going to show you on the screen in the serial monitor what this is doing. But basically, if I turn this back on, and I increase the time, let's go up to 10 seconds, for example, and when we wait the 10 seconds, you'll see the light start blinking in the last second, and then you'll see this LED and then this LED come on, and what it is this is focus, and then this is the shutter. So it's different for each camera, but in general, what I did is I waited 200 milliseconds, which is supposed to be enough time for a camera to focus, the modern camera to focus, and that's why you see it go 200 milliseconds down. And like I said, you can hit this button, and it'll take it immediately, and this increases the time and decreases the time. So the only reason I used a solid state was because I wanted to demonstrate the solid state, and it works just like a regular relay. This one actually has 2 relays in it. So on this side, you have the 2 inputs that trigger the relay, and then on this side, these 2 connect together, and then these 2 connect together to equal 2 different relays. And the photo sensor, although I'm not really using it for this one, you could use it so you want to wait till it gets, after it gets so dark, you want to stop, or you want to wait till it gets so light in the morning to catch a sunrise, you could set it to wait till a sunrise comes up. I didn't write any of that programming into this shield, though. Okay, so let's go look at the serial output, and what you're seeing right here is the blinking. Every time it blinks on or off, I'm putting the word smile out there, and it basically then comes down and does takes the picture, and then it tells you what mode it is in the timer, what it's set to. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the mode off. So that's me hitting the top button. So now it won't take any more pictures until I turn it back on again. And then if I increase the time, you can see how many seconds it's going to go up, and it's going to wait that long. Or I can decrease the time. I can go, let's say, down to 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Let's go 2 seconds. And when we look at it, you're going to see how fast it really goes. So it's much faster. So
That's pretty cool.
On the screen, I actually gave you the mode and the time and everything, but I can't show you the screen. I'll go through the program and you'll see that you'll actually see the code for this. It's actually a very simple code. So let's look through the code here. And if you look through the code, I defined the LEDs, and I don't know why I did this when I designed it. I made them 4, 7, and 3. I think originally I was trying to do some PWM stuff, and made them these pins because they were pulse width modulation pins, but I don't necessarily remember why I did that. Then we have buttons 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those I did put 8, 9, 10, and 11. We have our focus pin, which basically this pin goes high when it's time to focus, which takes the relay and closes the relay. And a camera uses a contact closure. If you're using a Canon camera, most Canon cameras, except for mine, use a 1/8 inch stereo plug. And if you're using like a Sony, it's a small, like it's a 16th, like a 2/8 inch plug. So it's a little bit smaller than what the Canon uses. So they use the sleeve is common. The tip is always the take, and the focus is the middle between. So it would be the ring, and the TRS plug is tip, ring, and sleeve. It'd be the ring side of that part of that. And then our first sensor is on analog 0. And then we have our initial timer interval of 10 seconds. And we set our current timer, and you'll get through the code, you'll see why I do this. Because if you don't do this, it'll take a picture. So we set this up above what the default 1 second is. And then we use this Boolean alternator. That's how we blink it. And we'll walk through the code, and you'll see that down here in a little bit. And then we have our mode, and we set it the default is of stop. See right here we define mode stop. It's equal to 0 and mode run equal to 1. We set it default to 0. So when it comes on, it won't take pictures right away. And then here I init the LCD display, and I define my pins. And actually, here's, as Bob mentioned in one of our emails, he's back. As Bob mentioned in one of our emails, I had it in here twice, which didn't hurt anything, but it wasn't needed, so I took that out right there. And as I was having a problem with this, my display, the I2C display, the Arduino would get to like right here or right here, I don't know exactly where, and it would lock up. And I wouldn't be able to tell that if it locked up or not. So I created this startup sequence. So when it first starts up, it does this little dance of the lights and everything. Just so that I know it got past it. And let's left it in there because it's kind of neat looking. So it doesn't really do anything other than blink the LEDs a couple times. Okay, so here's what we do with the timer. If we are in the run mode, we take our current timer and subtract it by 1. And when we get down to less than 1,000, so we know that we're in 1 second, because this is done in 1 millisecond loops. We know we have 1 second left, and then we come in and we do this blinker. So you see the blinker, and because if I did it at 1 millisecond intervals, you'd never see it blink. So I slowed it down to 100 milliseconds, and the way I did that without interrupting the code cycle is I just create another counter called blinker, and I increase blinker by 1, and when I get greater than 100, I alternate the LED and set blinker back to 0. So every 100 milliseconds, it turns it off or on, the opposite of what it currently is. If you put a wait in here, it would basically stop the code from running and your timer would be wrong. So you have to let it run without affecting the loop, which is why I did it this way. And you see right here, I am basically turning the LED on or off depending on what alternator is, because right here I'm setting it on or off, basically saying it's the opposite of what it currently is by doing that. All right, and then if it's not a second, within a second, we basically say if mode is equal to run, then I want the light to be on solid, and if it's not equal to run, I want it to be off. That's how I tell if it's running or not. So I set it to off. And if current timer gets equal to 0, what I do is set the new timer. And the reason I do that first is because I don't want the time I'm waiting for the camera to take its picture to affect the next picture time. So if something would happen that you had to slow it down because it was going to take more than half a second to take a picture, maybe you have a really slow focus, it would still be exactly 10 seconds next time I did it again. So I do this first, so I'm not waiting on the camera speed. Then I call take photo, which we'll walk through take photo here in a little bit. I then show the mode on the LCD and show the current timer value on the LCD. And then I come down and I read. At this point, if you got this far, it's already done the picture, which is the time-sensitive item, and it's going to now check the buttons. And if you have button 1 pressed, it's going to toggle the mode. Toggle mode basically turns it off or on. We'll walk through that when we get down here. And the other thing I did is add a delay of 250 milliseconds. This is mainly for debounce. It could actually be longer than this, I think, because I've had times where it turned off and on really fast because I held the button too long. And the other thing I do is if you change the mode, I reset the timer back to whatever your 10 seconds or whatever your default is, because I don't want you to start up and only have a second left and take a picture. So I want you to start from the beginning. So I reset the timer at this point. And then we have button 2, which increases the time. Again, and here's a debounce. And then again, I set the current timer. So if you increase the timer, it won't, if you're at 1 second left, it'll reset back to whatever the new timer value is. And I do the same thing with decrease time. And then button 4 simply just does take photo. It calls take photo. And then I delay 1 millisecond. So that's how I know that if I go around 1,000 times, I'm roughly a second. Now, it's not exactly a second. It's not exactly a millisecond because you got other things that are going on in here. But roughly, you're about a second. Or about a millisecond. Okay, so toggle mode very simply just reverses the mode. If mode is equal to 0, then I make it equal to 1. And if it's equal, that means if it's not that, it means it's already equal to 1. I set it to 0, and I just display the mode on the LCD. And show mode, now you see what I've done here is I've added serial. Originally, I didn't have this serial in here until my LCD stopped working. But I am printing to the serial port the same things I would print to the screen. And I'm setting my LCD cursor to the very first position, first line. And I'm then displaying what mode. Is it either mode off or mode on? And you can see I'm also printing to the serial port off or on. And then we have increase time. Very simply, I increase the timer interval, and then I do a show timer and decrease time. The only additional thing in decrease time is I make sure it's greater than 1 because I don't want to decrease it to 0. Because that would mean it just constantly take pictures over and over and over again. And then show timer, very, very much like the show mode, prints out to the serial port as well as puts on the screen at line 1, position 0, or column 0, the timer value, current timer value. And then there's the working part, which is take photo, and all it does is it prints, and in this case I printed to the serial port Chapow, which is a reference from my 9-year-old nephew. I think it's one of the cars in Cars does that when he takes a picture. So involved the 9-year-old nephews.
I'm glad they could contribute to your code.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. So and then I write to LED2 saying it's focusing, and I turn it on, and then I run the focus pin high. I wait for 100 milliseconds, and then I send LED3 high, say I'm going to take the shutter, and then do take pin when it goes high, and that would make the shutter take its picture. And then I wait half a second, and then I turn all that back off again. And
so if you had a camera that had a really long exposure time, you could change that value.
Absolutely.
And everything would work still.
Right. Absolutely. Most cameras will do that for you automatically now, but if you have an older style camera, it will hold it open as long as you need to.
Okay.
So I didn't make any adjustments for shutter time because the camera I was going to use does it automatically. You tell it when to take it, and it does everything else from that point on for you. But the older cameras, you're right, it holds it. You need to hold the shutter open longer, so you have to adjust your shutter time. So you could add another variable to this to adjust for that.
Okay.
All right, and then the very last thing is just the fun thing I did for a startup sequence, and I just print out to the serial line hello, just so I knew that it got that far. Because like I said, when the LCD was plugged in, it would like freeze. I couldn't tell how far it got. So I just wrote 2 little loops that blink the LEDs. And actually, I can show you the LEDs, what they do. It's just a little dance it does. Nothing fancy, just a little dance. But that's all this little routine does, and then that is the end of the code. There's not a lot to this. It's only 245 lines long, and that's a lot of extra stuff in there at the top. That's a lot of comments at the very top. Actually, I still got to add comments right there. You see where I never went back in and put them back in. All right. What do you think, Bob?
It looks pretty good.
It's a neat one. I can't wait till my plug gets here because I really do want to play with it, because I've always wanted to do time lapse stuff. I never really had a chance to do it before. So I've done like slow speed stuff, but not like on an actual camera. I've always used like a video camera and then just slowed it down. So
yeah, I'm trying to think of an application where I could use it.
Well, if you think about it, it can do a lot more. I designed it to be a camera controller, but it can control anything that's contact closure. It wouldn't have to be a camera.
True.
So, the LEDs are regular LEDs. There's nothing special about them. Their buttons are regular buttons, and the relays are regular relays. So you could pretty much make anything out of it that you wanted. Would have to be, a camera controller. That's the cool thing about this stuff. You can make anything you want. It's kind of neat. All right. So our YouTube channel is youtube.com/TechZenTV. And we also have our Twitter, and it is, let's see, where'd it go? There we go. It's a TechZenTV too. But we also starting to use hashtags. So I mentioned this last week. If you do tweet, make sure you use the Let's Make It hashtag. And I have a monitor set up so that I can get notifications when they come up, and I can, if you have questions or whatever, we can ask them there as well, and we'll answer back. And I haven't talked to Bob about this yet, but we may have to do something special with the hashtag here in the near future as well.
Okay.
Our Facebook.com/TechZenTV. If you have a Facebook account, go out there and hit the like button. That allows you to follow us through Facebook and get updates that way as well. We do update that page pretty regularly. A lot of it's automatic, but it's pretty regular updates as far as new episodes and new shows and things like that as well. Also, if you want the show notes for this show, and I'll put this code out there and links to everything we talked about today, you just can go to tech-zen.tv or just let'smakeit.tv. It'll take you right to the page as well. And this show is recorded live, and tonight we actually have people in the chat room with us, so it's nice to have people. Also, we got Vintage Volts and JC in the chat room, in addition to Bob and I. So it's nice having everybody there, and come back next week at 9 p.m. On a Monday night, and it's 9 p.m. Eastern, so I'm not sure. I know JC's actually in my time zone. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but I'm not sure where Vintage Volts is located. So, all right, and this was episode 33, and it's recorded on, today is 8/19. And Bob, when you went to school, when did you start school back?
When did I start school?
Yeah, like when you were in elementary school or high school, when did school start up for you?
Usually Labor Day.
Yeah, our schools went back today.
But I'm old too, so.
Well, I'm old too, apparently.
We didn't start quite this early.
Yeah, that kind of wigged me out a little bit this morning whenever I saw school buses and my neighbors' kids are on the school bus. So I wasn't expecting to see that. So because I used to not go to school until the day after Labor Day or the Tuesday after Labor Day, maybe even. So.
Yeah, I would. Since I spent my summers at Boy Scout camp, I would leave at Memorial Day and I wouldn't get back till Labor Day. So I'd be gone all summer.
Yeah, I didn't go to camp or anything, but yeah, I just couldn't believe this morning when I saw that they're getting on the school bus. I'm like, what's going on? And then
everybody starting a little earlier than we are. Schools down here in Texas don't start for a little while longer, but it's almost here. Yeah,
that's crazy. And it's also, I don't know what it's been like down there, but here it's been very cool and wet. Very unusually cool. In fact, the other day we had mid-40s at night in August. That is not normal. So
that's not normal.
No, that's not normal. It was cold. I mean, that's just not normal for me. So something weird is going on. School starting early. Fall started already. Although I think tomorrow it's back up in the 90s again. But it's been not above 70 for like the last week and a half here during the day. So a little bit weird.
A little bit weird. Well, it's been nice down in Texas.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to cover tonight, Bob?
I think that's it for tonight.
All right. Well, that was a quick one. 39 minutes. All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Good night.
Night. For show notes for this show, contacts, and more, go to the TexN.TV website where you can get show notes for all of our shows. We love to hear from our viewers and listeners. We have an email, a Twitter, and a phone number where you can contact us for each show. For details, visit the TexN.TV website and get the show details. You can also make a video and upload it somewhere like YouTube or Vimeo and then just send us a link. You never know, you may see your video in a future show. You can get all of our shows delivered automatically to your favorite device by going to your favorite podcast website like iTunes and subscribing. Each of our shows also has a YouTube channel you can subscribe to get regular updates. Our shows are also available on most internet radio networks like Stitcher and TuneIn Radio. You can also watch and listen to our shows on Xbox, TiVo, and Roku. You can even find us on your Zune.